Welcome to the Agents of the Unexplained. Grab your gear and let's journey into the mysterious world of cryptids and the paranormal. Get ready for an adventure into the unknown. Listen carefully as you're guided through the unexplained and cryptid phenomena that challenge our understanding of reality. Here is your host, Bill Rigby.
Well, good evening, everyone. We kind of been on a crazy schedule since the conference, but we got Donna Copas back again, which I'm so excited about. Let me bring her in already. Hi again, Donna.
Hello.
Yeah, it's great to see you again.
Well, thank you for having me back. I appreciate it.
Oh, we love it. We love it. I've been having a crazy since the third week of March. Things been, but it's starting to get back to normal, and I'm scared. But I got to tell you something happened at the conference. And this lady, I don't know if it was your podcast or a live I did. She didn't specifically say. She kind of caught me off guard, saying she was looking for me specifically. That's why she came. And she said she lives in Kinsman, Ohio.
Okay.
And I went, okay, what's going on? Her son walked out to take the garbage out, and right in her driveway was a Bigfoot.
I can do that. Oh, I can believe that. No.
Yeah, and it growled at him.
Okay.
She's supposed to get a hold of me. We're supposed to get over there and investigate. I gave her my card and everything. I said, I'm not blowing you off or anything. I want to check this out. But as you can see, I'm super busy here. I definitely want to see that. Oh, here we go. William Nighthawk.
Yeah.
Hey, Donna, don't pay attention to the man in the hat behind the curtain.
Hey. Okay.
All right, William. All right, and Kurt, thank you, buddy. He says, I do. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for your time. Donna, hope you're doing well also.
Yeah, hanging in there.
So, we got that investigation to go on. I really want to get over to your place.
Well, we, like I said before, I think with all the logging and the things that's going on, there's been more happenings, not just around me, but other people have, had other things. I've had people contact me about footprints, and there was another issue it was a local site that had happened years ago. They'd had an issue there with being chased on four-wheelers. And this year they said, they had some activities again. So I've had a lot of different, everybody knows me to one extent or another. I've lived here my whole life. So you got the non-believers, you got the fun makers, the ones that just wants to,
Yep.
I usually got a pretty good comeback. So I don't get picked on too much, but, and I respect everybody's point of view, but I was like, well, everybody has an opinion. They're like a certain other body parts, everybody has one. So,
yes.
But I think the activity is picking up everywhere, not just, here. I go to different places and I hike different counties and stuff, and I'm seeing more of the tree shelters, more of the X's. I see a lot of more stuff going on.
Really, William, why didn't you tell me that before? Raccoon Park near Springfield, Ohio.
Yeah.
It's not that far from me. I went to the Monroe County Bigfoot enthusiast camp out at Salt Fork at the group camp. And I should have downloaded some of the pictures on it here, and I didn't. I wasn't thinking. But there was prints found on the beach. It was cold and rainy. So I don't think any humans running around barefoot there.
Well, I got that. I got that question too because I got the foot. I've got some footprints in the creek, and everybody's like, "Why is there only one footprint?" I was like, "There's not. There's a set of footprints walking. You got one in sand in the dirt, where the other one's in the water, which is yay deep, and it's washing. It's there, but you can't cast it.
Exactly.
Too much water." And it's like this. And then I get another thing about why do you use a cigarette lighter? What are, why, how do they just refer to like a pothead or a meth head or that kind of thing? It's like, no, I've never smoked in my life. However, I do go into the woods and I carry matches, but I carry a lighter. I might want to build a fire. I'll be able to. So
that's the thing, in my backpack, I carry a small tape measure,
right.
Casting material, and if I get a hair sample in that, I got the paper bag and the plastic bag. But the way the weather was this past weekend, there was no casting. So, but it was very, well, Renee was right there. Me, her, Trina, and then they found and took me up to where these deers were. They were lined up in a line. The heads were gone. There was no crush injuries. There's no bullet marks on the bones or arrow marks. William, you're 100% right with that. And I wouldn't ask you for exact location anyhow, unless you want to take me there. And that's the way it is. I don't give exact locations either.
Right.
But what was weird was no heads. And someone says, "Oh, poachers." No, the bodies were not been lined up in a line. They'd be thrown on top of each other.
Right.
There is this tree and it's a big tree that got broken, got vines around it.
Right.
And look, Renee and Trina was saying it was a portal. And I said, I got to see this thing. And I go, where is this portal? After I was looking at these deers, because right away I saw the deers, and I went up and started checking them out. And Renee says, well, look around. I said, I could feel some kind of energy.
Right.
And I started looking, I turned, I went, oh. And I walked over to where this tree was and the way it was shaped in that. And we do have a picture of that. I felt the energy more so right in that. And it's like, something's going on right here. But what killed the deers? We don't know. Where's the heads? We don't know. Yeah.
I actually found two, just what you're describing, giant buck. No head. The body's there. There was no signs of how it died. It wasn't shot. There was no, because I hunt, so
right.
Shoot, you're going to see arrow. You're going to see the hole. You're going to see the shot. The head was gone. Now it laid there. The funny thing I found funny about it, it laid there. Now once you got to kill the the buzzards will come in, right? The crows, they scavenge off of that body.
Right.
This body laid there for 3 months. It was never touched. It was not scavenged. And it the innards, of course, things rot. Don't get me wrong. And it started shrinking and rotting, but it had a strange color, not like a normal rot.
Hmm.
It was different, and that's what I couldn't figure out why would the other, because this is in an area where there's plenty of those old black buzzards, that's what I call them. And things will eat anything. They'll scoop up a
Right.
child.
Yeah.
A calf, they'll come in on a cow having a calf so fast you don't know what hit you. I mean, they'll take that calf.
Yep.
And that body, it was fresh when I found it. The head was gone. That was all was gone. So
What gets me is, like you said, the rotting color was wrong.
right. It was not and this is a big deer. I mean, this is I would have said it would have been a 12 point, from the size of the body. He was massive. He was a big guy. And that just don't happen. Scavengers comes in.
Right.
Possums, old possum, they'll crawl up through the rear part there and
Yeah.
they'll be inside eating from the inside out. I've seen
Yes, very much so. I've seen that too. As much time as I spend in the woods hunting and everything, I've seen that.
see it moving around and it's an old possum up on the inside. That's yep. It ain't pleasant, but I've seen it.
Yeah, it's not a pretty sight. But but then coyotes and
right.
bears and nothing got to this.
Yeah,
We could tell.
No, there's bobcats. The coyotes are horrible here. I've got them on my trail cams. They're coming down. I watched them. It was weird. I watched these. What I was assuming was coyotes was coming down a trail. And on my trail cam, I watched them walk all the way down through there. Coyotes, straight on to the camera. It gets this one gets up to the camera sideways, and it was a deer.
Huh.
Now I'm still scratching my head on that. How did it change from the body of a coyote to a deer when it got close to the? Because it's a coyote. I mean, I don't see it changing out. The coyotes are there; they're coming straight at the camera, but it got up close range of the camera. Of course, I have some giant orbs there too. The orbs comes.
Okay.
I mean, I have everything from small up to big,
Right.
big ones. But that was because me and my son were looking at the same time. And he's like, "What the heck? Where did it go?" He's like, "It's a deer. How did that go from the coyote to the deer?" I was like,
Exactly. Yeah.
That's weird.
A shift changer.
That's what I was like. I never saw that before, and I still haven't explained it. I got it on video, though. I do have it on video.
Which is great. But last week me and Ray and Trina traveled around all over there, and I actually took Kurt down to show him where I had my sighting at and how close to camp we were. And then he saw how close I really was to where the beast was at, as I call it. Oh, God. Thanks, Spark. I needed to see that. Bill, I see you were at Sheets on North Hermitage Road today. They're out of Dr. Pepper. Oh, Jesus. No, I wasn't, but now I ain't going there. But
Mm.
I was close to there too. But no, it wasn't me this time. Hey, what the heck are you doing looking at the Dr. Pepper Mountain Dew, man? But yeah, we found prints. We've had Renee and Trina had one out there clapping right outside their tent, and then going, whoa. Yeah. You know, they took flowers out of this little beer, like a Black's beer bottle.
Yeah.
And they had 12 stems shoved down in that bottle tight. The bottle's still sitting there. The flowers were gone.
Oh, wow.
We're trying to find the flowers that night. They couldn't find them. Next morning we did, and it's like they dropped them as they were running away.
Oh,
In a line there. But howdy, Griff. That's the. People say, "Oh, nothing really happens there at group camp." The hell it don't. And you got to be patient. Miss Cheyenne, how you doing, man? That's people got to be patient, relax, and if it's meant to be, it's going to happen.
absolutely.
Look at it, and I had my sighting right there, and I never thought I would, and it shocked the living crap out of me, Donna.
Well, my first one was when I was young, and then I kind of over my lifetime. Not that I don't get surprised, it's not like I see them every day, but I've had enough experience seeing them. Sometimes I get that leery warning feeling to be more cautious.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just calm and no problem. It kind of, I think for me, I think it is whoever else has been there and what kind of mood they've left them in, kind of.
Yes.
Because not everybody is calm and cool and they do things. So I guess just like all of us, we have a temper and they get they get riled up too.
Yep. Very much so.
It's there can be. I'm always cautious, as far as it is. But, and like I said, with the things that's happening now, and the more they're coming out, I think we're going to have more, maybe issues, more sightings, definitely. My geese are going up. Can you probably hear them?
Yeah. And I believe people are more willing to talk about their sightings now than ever before.
Right.
Mr. Blue Tracker, I see you're out there. Glad to see you, brother. Hope you're feeling well. That's the thing. We're going to get a lot more reports. And down in your area, you're probably going to get a ton more.
Yeah. Well, with all this flooding, we got some good cave systems here. But the thing of it is, those caves floods too.
Yeah.
So we're. I had an experience which I'm not supposed to talk about it. I'll do it privately with you.
Okay.
But I'm not allowed to discuss it. Shall I say? I've been told to not discuss this.
Okay. We'll do it privately.
Yeah. So
got to respect that part of it.
So
definitely. And that's another thing. Some of these people out there don't respect what is told to them, and they start sharing stuff they shouldn't share.
Hmm.
And sorry,
Yeah,
not a nice guy about that. If they
trust,
say not to, we don't.
yeah, I trust you. So it's
Yeah.
very, this is very interesting and disturbing at the same time.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
okay.
um, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
If a person or entity don't want you to share something, you do not do it with the public. Yes.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
I know.
this is my personal experience. Um, but then I kind of got contacted later asking me to. It's one of them situations. I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about.
Yes. Yeah. I believe me. I understand right now. Um, yeah. That's you got to have that trust too.
Right. Right.
And I know you're a very trustworthy person. Uh,
I try to be.
and I'm
I
not
mean a lot.
buttering you up or anything, but I can sense that with you.
Well, one of the reasons that's what I said. They were like, "Why are you doing it?" And I was like, "I'm not want to be famous. I'm not trying to get rich. However, I feel a responsibility to my watchers for protection.
Mm-hmm.
Things are changing, and I'm getting older, and I don't really have a replacement for me. I'll be truthful. So
Yeah.
I don't know how that's going to happen. Through my lifetime, there's always been generations. There's been a replacement. I replaced
Right.
my dad. And but I don't have a replacement at this time to take and carry on. Um, my son will maintain our burial mounds. He'll do all of
Right.
that. But he doesn't have the relationship that I have with them. He didn't. My replacement was my youngest son that I lost.
Right.
So I don't have him, and I don't have a replacement at this time. Other people have stepped up, and it's like, oh, we'd love to do that. However, it is a uh, it's very strict, very hard, and you get taught lessons that you don't want to learn, and you have to give up a lot. And I haven't found that person that is willing to that I think could hold up that end. So still looking
Yeah.
some time, but
Not that they say they want to, but they don't realize what's all involved.
right.
Yes.
It's it can be very stressful, and you give up a lot of your life. So
Yes. Uh, I give up a lot of mine just doing this.
oh, absolutely, it
Yeah.
takes time and
Between the
funding.
podcast, running my group, getting out researching, takes up a lot of time. It
Yeah,
does.
it does. You things that you want to do, or it's like my oldest granddaughter is getting married. I wanted to come to the Salt Fork thing, and she's getting married on May the 5th. And for me to go, I've got to go all the way over into Kentucky. I think that's where it was at. Anyway, one of the Vogel brothers had sent me the thing. And I really want to go.
Yeah.
And, but I'm going to have to go, and I'm actually have to spend the night, which I've got to figure out my schedule because I have people I take care of.
Right.
I will not let anybody else take care of them. And some has some dementia. And the one that walks in when they're about ready to rip somebody's head off, and I walk in and we have a relationship where they'll
Yeah.
calm down without. But so that's going to be a little tricky, but I'm going to have to figure it out. I was like, oh, I can't miss her wedding.
No.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can understand that you got to be at that wedding.
Well, that's what her. Now her. She's so funny. She made this poor guy wait 5 years to get married. And I love him. He is just this wonderful guy. Great job. Terrific father. He's terrific. And he's a big guy. He's probably about 6'6", and he loves Bigfoot. And he's like, your grandma is so cool. I want to go Bigfooting with her. I was like, hey, I'll take you. He's so sweet. So they're a good match.
My youngest grandson's learning different words.
Oh,
Put in sentences
yeah.
At school. So last night, he started reading, and he's having trouble with one word. And Beth goes to him, what does Grandpa like to do on the weekends? Bitch. He went, no. He went, camping. First, it was going to be Bigfoot.
Oh. Well, I've got a year-old granddaughter, and she started saying words when she was about 8 months old. This kid makes sentences. But she started out saying not ship, but the other one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And we were doing, and then her oldest brother, he's in the postgraduate, so he's going to do college, 2 years of college while he graduates from high school. And she's with us because we're doing he's doing his testing stuff and setting up his funding. And she's running around the table, and that's what she is saying. I'm like, oh my God, shut up. I was like, I'll go out here and wait.
Oh my God.
How old is
Love
she?
it.
Let it go.
I love it.
Oh, she's so rotten.
And, well, Hunter, he does this number to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. But that's a sign of love. That's not.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. Not when he's mad, when he's playing around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, okay, buddy, I know I'm number one in your book. That's when and two of them goes up.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I love that. He's going to say Bigfoot, and then he went, camping.
Nothing better than children and grandchildren and all that. It's just amazing.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Well, Renee's grandson, he's a podcaster.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he says he is.
Oh.
And he didn't know I got the camp. And he was FaceTiming Renee.
Oh.
And she goes, who was you podcasting with? He says, that Bill from Pennsylvania. And I leaned over and went, hi, buddy.
Oh, my.
The biggest smile on his face.
Oh.
And he liked Grizzly Chris, too. And Grizzly was there. And Renee says, what about Grizzly? He says, yeah, I did a podcast with Grizzly Chris. He turned, and there's Grizzly. He was so happy.
Oh.
So happy. You know, kids are special. They are.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. My oldest grandson that lives here is Mothman.
No.
So, you know,
They
we
are
try to teach her what we can.
right. Well, I've tried to, with mine, I try to raise them in the old ways. I try to teach them to hunt and fish and get off the video games. Although my oldest grandson, that's what he's going. He's computers. He doesn't like to get his hands dirty. I'm like, are you serious? Come on, get outside. And he's like,
my grandson's computer is right there on that side of me. He didn't get on it today, but he was down in my room on his iPad. I said, you're tired of your room and the computer? Yeah, kind of. I said, it's good, buddy. It's good. Yeah.
I say it's funny because my girls, my youngest granddaughter, she's a cop. She does horses. She actually got kicked in the face with an 1,800-pound horse. And I mean, her whole face it chipped her tooth. It's black and blue. Blood is gushing. And of course, they take her to the hospital to get stitched up. I'm terrified. I'm crying. She's laughing. She's laughing. And I'm like, are you serious? She's like, it was my fault. I was feeding them carrots and the one was taken from the other and I got too close. It's like, oh my God. You at least didn't get, no, I didn't get mad. It's my fault.
That's like my baby brother. I was working on Henry Warner's farm, and we went across the road to the other barn where the young bulls were at.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And another calf pen. And I told Chuck, do not walk behind those bulls.
Oh, yeah.
He made a mistake and walked behind him. And that one kicked. He hit the side of the building. I thought he was dead. He's just going, yeah. I'm like, oh, I got to get those bulls away from them. They're going to attack, but they didn't. They moved away. I guess that one young bull thought he killed him. So did I. And I go running over. He has nice hoof prints on the back of on his chest. Bruised on his back from hitting the metal siding of that barn. And
I can relate.
He just walked off with it. He says, it just knocked the wind out of me. I don't know how it didn't crush your chest.
I grew up on a 300-acre farm. We brought the bulls in, for castration. I rode bulls. My brothers rode bulls. I rode bulls. And I have been thrown. I have been kicked. I have been stomped. And how I'm alive, I don't know. Because I've literally, we had this big long pin, the tier poles where you hang your tobacco. There's tier poles up there. I've been slung through top of them tier poles before. And people look at me because I was a tiny little girl. And they say, you're serious. You rode bulls. I said, I absolutely did. I brought horses. I grew up on a farm. But my older brother, my brother that's next to me is about 6 years older than me. So I still regret to this day all the hell I put my grandma through.
Oh, yeah.
It was terrible. Oh, my God.
A friend of mine, well, several of them, invited me to go with them bull riding. I'm like, I got to work tomorrow. I can't do that. Oh, you got to go. No, I will not. I said, I'll see you guys Friday. This was a Wednesday night. And they're laughing at me because I'm not going. Friday night, here they come in. One was on crutches. The other one had his arm in the sling. The other one had his side of his face all black and blue. And I went, and look at me. I'm not hurt.
Well, when they would, of course, they tie your hand down, right?
Yeah.
Well, when you go off, you're stuck. You got to release that. And you're going to take a good hard pounding every time. And honestly, I wonder in my lifetime where I got hurt, I'm thinking, did I toughen up enough from being stomped that I didn't get killed? I don't know. But I can honestly say I've had some rough ones, but then I had a couple of rough brothers.
We had a rough mother.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she raised us. My dad was an idiot, and I'm being nice saying that because he was worse than that. But my mom was strict, very strict, but very fair.
That was my grandma.
And when she told us to get the belt, we got the belt quick. Because I learned the hard way.
My grandma used a switch. She'd get one of those little, she called them switch, and he'd come around and crack you twice. It got you the first time, then it come back around and get you second. But I deserved it. I can't say she didn't beat me, but I deserved whenever she gave it to me. I deserved it.
Well, the one time my mom told me, go get the belt. Oh, yeah, okay. I go, I know exactly where it was at, but I went upstairs to get my belt, and I played around and played around. We always got 3 cracks. Well, it took me 15 minutes.
Ooh.
And after the 3rd minute, she says, the longer it takes, the more you get.
Oh, yeah.
Thinking, oh, yeah, we only getting 3.
Mm-hmm.
Wrong. I got 12.
Well, I've experienced that before. And if you ran, if you ran, you're just like, it's okay because you got to come back in and go to bed. And when you
Mhm.
come in, you're going to get it. No matter what, you're going to get it. So might as well just take it and get it over with.
If you ran, you got it worse.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And, yeah, and the thing is, we live not really in the country, but we live far enough outskirts of town that we have plenty of woods and that, and we were always out in it. And you know, on Saturday mornings, we watched an hour of cartoon, and we were outside.
Yep.
And we didn't come back until the street lights come on, unless we got called in to eat lunch. Usually, it was one of the neighbors' parents calling saying this one or that one. It seemed like they took turns who was feeding us kids. But we spent all that time out in the woods. We learned how to track animals, know which animal's which.
Right.
And I'd saw tree structures and axes and all that growing up and all these years. And I never saw a Bigfoot till I was 62 that I know of.
Right.
I might have saw one and didn't put two and two together.
I was little, and of course, Dad hunted and trapped, and he dug roots, and I went with him. And so I would see. Poor man could not get away from me. I was terrible. He'd go run his trap lines, and I'd be right with him, wintertime or all. And so he just started showing me. Of course, he showed me all the roots. We dug roots.
Yeah.
Part of the living, it wasn't just ginseng. We did yellow root, blood root, cohosh, the apple, blackroot. They're eating up. They never left. If you didn't get one thing, you came back with something else. And that's taught. And he taught me the track. From the time I was little, I shot my first rabbit. Again, I was around 6, 7. And the rabbit was so long, I wore bib overalls, and he would take a stick and run it through the legs and hang it through the loop of my belt. And I had to carry it home. If I killed it, I carried it home. I shot and I didn't kill it. First time I shot it, I didn't hit it good. And he told me, he's like, you shot it, you kill it. He said, you go over and finish it off. And I looked at him and he said, I don't mean to shoot it either. He said, put your foot on its neck and tap its neck. And so I did. And then when we come home, I cleaned it. That was the rule. You had to, you killed it, you cleaned it, and it better be something you're going to eat.
Yeah, and very much so. You don't kill something you're not going to eat.
Well, that was, you got so many shells. You got allotted so many shells, and that was what you're supposed to, you choose. There was squirrels or rabbits or whatever.
Hello, Michael Purcell. He's out there. About time you showed up. But but that's the thing. You lived your life in the woods. And you learned how to track, how to, distinguish what's what in the woods. And I believe that has helped you with the watchers.
Yeah. Well,
and being a woman helped even more, I believe.
Yeah, with the tracks, I figured out, I've actually hiked on, sometimes there is the horse trails or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I go back, I went back deep into the country, and they'd ridden horses back there. This was last spring. And I had the other 2 women was with me that same day we saw the dog man thing. And because she's like, that's horse track. And I was like, look again. Because you got the horse track, you got the shoe on the horse and the frog in the foot. You go see, and it'll slide. They stuck down, it'll slide. I said, look again, because you see the heel. Horses don't have a heel.
Neil, nope.
And it was stepped down. It stepped down. Uh, the horse had stepped over top of where the footprint was, the toes, and that it was. I would say probably 16-inch, because it was distorted. And she was like, "Well, how would you know that?" I said, "Because I grew up in the woods with my daddy." And he would never pass, he would have never, that was a lesson you learned.
Yeah.
And the rock formations, how the rocks are stacked.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, somebody's just doing that." I was like, "No, because when they're marked. And you'll find those, somewhere in there, there's usually a round stone. They'll have, like where you set the stone egg down in, there's like a round, it's made by water, water running over a stone.
Yeah.
But it's not, this is natural formations that are used. So again, it was like, well, that's just, and I was like, yeah, of course it's natural, but they embellish on it. So there's just a lot of different things.
Yeah, very much so. And that's the thing. We got to take a short break. I promised her I'll do this again today. Hey there. Yeah. Something happened there that my background disappeared.
Yeah.
There we go. I don't know what I did to the background.
It looks like it's nighttime now.
Yeah, and the trees, and we're taking a hike.
There you go. It looks really cool there. I like it. I like the sunlight, this like sunset.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
And oh, Mr. Marchetti, how are you doing? Yeah. The thing is too, with the experiences you've had out there, and what you being with the watchers, as you call them, what is the most frightening thing that happened with them around?
Well, there's been a couple. I guess the night that, like I said, after I brought Dad here, and the night that one was, um, like 3 o'clock in the morning, and all the screams and the tearing around and the attack of the dog. I never heard those kind of violent screams. It didn't hurt me, but the dog lived, but he killed other dogs on down through there, and I never really figured out whether that was Dad's. That, because the next night Dad's was back and it was calm. There was no more of that. And then there was last summer when I got hit. Again, that was more violent, and I never experienced. But then I have to say, I don't think it meant to hit me. I think it was mad from the being agitated by the other calls and other things that was going on. wasn't that it was so much, I think I have tree structures and I have a clan that moves from that big area, and they were here. They're not here right now because they moved back and forth and they went back to their big area. But I think they were disrupted. There was young ones around, and so I have to. I sound like I'm making excuses. I guess I am to an extent. It's not that I don't know that they can be violent, because I do know they can. And when I was a girl, of course, I always had the horses, the ponies, and the thing with the ribbons. It didn't scare me. I was at the creek and I would lay there and go to sleep or whatever. But they do have an ability that they can kind of put you to sleep, or something happens where you lose track of time.
Yes.
It happened that time, and it never harmed me, but it came in close enough to touch me. Because when I woke up, there was a creek and there was a big flat rock where sometimes I would lay. I was 12, so you sunbathe, whatever. And I'd taken my hair loose, and that's when it took my strings. But I was laying on that when I woke up. Now, I was in the water. I was lying in the water. When I woke up, I was laying on that rock. So it had to touch me and pick me up to move me onto that. And when I woke up, I seen I seen the movement going through the trees. I seen my strings, those colorful strings, moving in the shadows. So that kind of was discerning to, it didn't hurt me, didn't scratch me, didn't bite me, but the smell was there. So that was kind of the fact that it would be that close to touch.
Right.
So that was kind of scary. Of course, I had a big pony then, and I would just ground time. I'd loosen his saddle. Sometimes just take it off, or sometimes I rode bareback. But I had his bridle on that day, and I just dropped the reins at ground time, and he didn't leave me, which was amazing, but he didn't, because I would have had to travel on foot a good ways to get back to the house. But so, I guess that was the more frightening, being hit and then worrying because it's so violently ripping trees down. It wasn't little trees. These are trees that's been shoved down, and the sound, which I sent, I don't know if it came through for you to hear or not, the actual screams from that night on that one recording I sent you. Is those, because I'm not a researcher. I don't have somebody I send my stuff to be cleaned up or checked out. I have, that was recorded on my cell phone. Then I took it from the cell phone. I tried to take it off the cell phone. I put it onto the recorder so I could send it to you, because I couldn't get it to transfer. So there's some, you can hear the thing. But I don't.
A friend of mine just got a new cell phone, that Samsung S25 Pro. And the camera on that is phenomenal. He showed me this evening.
That's my granddaughter's has the good stuff. I have the cheapie.
That's what I have.
I don't.
I'm like, I can't afford that good one.
Well, that's me. And I just actually started using a cell phone about a year ago. I never used it before, because every time I take care of so many people, if they can call me at home. But if I'm out and they can call me, I can be halfway home and they will be like, can you go back and do this? Or can you get this client here? I don't mind doing it. But after I've done 10 or 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
So but I do carry it now. But
yeah, and that's, man, I can't believe how far technology came. I remember, I'm super important. I got myself A bag phone.
Yeah. Yeah, I had one of the old ones that for the car, the old time phone like
Mm,
that. And then I have the old cassette tapes, which you record the cassettes.
yes.
I still had some of those left over, and I had some things on it, trying to get it to. But it's so, you hear the, so you're not picking up everything. You got all that crap in there. But so I'm older, so I've been around a while.
Thank goodness that the internet wasn't around when we were kids.
I prefer my woods and my.
Yeah,
That was wonderful. Climbed the
yeah,
apple
but they
tree
they couldn't record all this stuff that we done.
oh no! Believe me, I wouldn't want some of the things I did.
Uh-uh.
Uh, I was shoo-wee, I tell you. I was my poor grandma. My mom was always there, but my grandma raised me.
Yeah.
And oh my God, the torture I put her through. And my dad never spanked me in my life. He kicked my butt one time, broke his toe because I ran off. Yeah, I skipped school, went down through the woods, and I came up through. I go down to the creek. I had to pass the spring. We have a big spring. Go down to the creek, and there was this big holler log across the creek. And I had my dog. My dog wouldn't go around it. She scared it up through the woods, and I climbed over top of it. Well, when I went through and I went up into and I looked, and there's a panther came out the end of that log. They say we ain't got panthers. They're crazy as crap. That
Yes.
came out of there and stood up, and I'm seeing it. I was probably about 9. I hated school. I was terrible. I ran away. And so Dad told me, you don't never run. He's like, you slide away from here slow. Don't you run. If you run, you're prey. It's going to come after you.
Yep.
And I had to slide a cliff. It was straight up a cliff to get to the field, to get to the corn cribs where I was headed. And I started up through there real slow like, and it would move along. It didn't chase me, but it followed me. I got up to the fence. There's four strands of barbed wire. My dad was standing at that fence. He'd seen me go down through there, and he was waiting on me. He knew where it's going. I fell through that fence, and all I could do was say, "Cat, cat, cat." Well, he got me by the arm and he stood me up and he said, "Dad, burn you! I told you about doing that. If you ain't gonna go to school, don't you dare to." And so he turned his foot sideways. He had tennis shoes on. He kicked me, and when he did, it turned his toe. He had a big long toe. Oh. I felt so bad that I hurt my dad. I think he put on a lot just to make me feel bad. But he said, "Don't you know what could have happened to you?" He said
Exactly.
He said it was a panther, wasn't it? And I said, "Yes, it was." He said, "You were gonna go do that again?" I was back in the woods the next day. So
Yeah.
I never, but that was an experience. Let me tell you, we had them. They take calves down.
Yeah, the Pennsylvania Game Commission changed it from we don't have them here till they're non-breedables.
Really?
Why, did you go up and neuter them and spaded them or what?
Well,
how do you know they're not non-breedable?
That's baloney. That is baloney.
Yep. And something Sparky said, Paranormal Fellowship. Hey, those bag phones were invented in Youngstown, Ohio.
Really?
I did not know that.
I didn't either.
Was that Wilcom Electric that did that, Sparky? Which was Wilcom Cellular. Because that's who we had the bag phone through, was Wilcom Cellular. Those are the best cell phones, too, because they had the strongest powers. But they're not as smart as the smartphone. And they couldn't take pictures. But yeah, the thing is that we don't have breedable panthers, mountain lions, whatever you want to call them.
Well, we certainly have them, and they're reproducing and coming from somewhere. Because I still have them here. I have one here. I don't see it real often, but I have. Got bobcats coming into my barn, which they're not scared, and I ain't liking that very much because I've got all kind of. I've got a poultry farm, so you know what they're after.
Well, if the Bigfoots are around, I bet they get scared.
I heard the cat screaming. It's been 3 or 4 nights ago. I actually thought I got a big live trap up there, and well, my son welded it up, and he can fit inside of it. That's how big it is. And I did it for the coyotes and for the bobcat. I really don't want to kill the bobcat, but I don't want it jumping off on me either. So he had welded that up, and I heard him screaming, and he told me, so we had something in there, but it got out. But that was the craziest screams I ever heard. But I think I must have had one of my watchers close by too, because I could hear. Sometimes it's like the grunts, and it's not the real long howls, but you'll get the grunts and the hoops.
Yeah.
And of course, I get the tree knocks all the time and the rock clanks. And I've never had a rock. I've had like acorns thrown at me, small pebbles, but I've never had anything big, except for the cooler. That was the only thing that ever.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you
that story. That was funny.
Bruise that it was on my hip. It hit me on my hip on that bone, and I'm telling you, I had a bruise that big. That's it. Hit me like a.
And that
I done still kick me again.
You know, this weekend they had a glow stick thrown from behind where the tent was over toward where my Blazer was parked. And it's like, all right, nobody was over there.
Right.
So went through it. You know, and that's the same night as the clapping was later and all that, and the grunt.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting weekend there. And let me do this too, real quick. We're going to be doing it again at Salt Fork.
Okay. It's May the 22nd then, not the first week in. Are you having something the first week in May?
No, first week in May, we're going to be at OBC.
Oh, okay. Oh,
May 3rd. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we're doing the camp out May 22nd through the 25th.
Okay.
Can
you send me them dates so I can, if I can look at them, I can see, because my brain don't work like it used to. I can't keep it in there.
All right, I'll send you the invite to it. Definitely. But you know, everyone's welcome. You know, we'll go out and do a little research, but we don't set up a schedule for, all right, you got to go over this way. You go if you want to go research, you can go research whenever you want. Like friends of ours, Steve and Shelley Stetzer, they came in from New Jersey a couple of years ago to the camp out. 7.5 hours they drove in. They get their tent set up part way. And then they go out researching, checking things out. And it's like, I think I'd want to relax a little bit for a few hours before I go. No. And they didn't get back to it way after dark.
Oh my gosh.
And then they went back out for a while. They came back in late that night. It was back up the first thing in the morning. They got something to eat. It was back out. You know, they're there to research, and that's what they did.
Well, if you drive that far, and probably can waste a minute.
Yeah, ain't nobody I know that is that dedicated to go without that much sleep, to go without researching.
I have to have my sleep. I have to have. Sometimes it's only a couple hours at a time, but I have to rest. I do. Not when I was young, but I do now.
Yeah, I think that comes with age.
Oh yeah. It. And I find myself sleeping in my chair more. I sit down and fall asleep. Mm.
Hey, my buddy Griff's out there. How you doing, Griff? Uh, Now we got Danny and Mark and Sparky, Cheyenne, Renee. Uh, Blue Tracker was out there. Bill Nighthawk, he's listening over on his page. He shared it to it. Uh, and who? So he probably has a bunch listening in there, um, which is great. That's all the people I could see that spoke in that. And the thing is that when we get out there to do the research, it's awesome. And because you're wanting to find something, but if you don't, it's still awesome because you're out in that nature.
That's my thing. I like just being in the woods.
Yeah.
I'll go out sometimes just for a short time, uh, whether it's in through my own woods or I've got different places where I hike, and I have places I go. Well, like I said, with the burial mounds and stuff, that's a constant upkeep because of the weather, and I have to watch because you have to keep it secret because if they find it, they dig them up.
Yeah.
And what I found out is we had a local cemetery from the 1800s. It was a cholera
Yeah.
cemetery, and it slid into the creek, into one of the main creeks here. And the Conservancy, they relocated. They did a great job of helping. But what I also found out is there's a group of watchers that are there.
Oh.
It seems like they attach. I think it's like with Dad. He had his own that was attached to him, and even though he's not here, I think they still visit their graves, or they watch over the cemeteries too.
I
Um,
believe they watch over the cemeteries because you hear a lot of reports of them around cemeteries.
yep. Um,
So,
I have a picture. I think it's 1976, I believe. It's an old Polaroid,
right.
and it was a. There's a local cemetery. It's the a veteran cemetery. So there's a lot of odd monuments. One monument is made like a tree stump, which I found fascinating. I do the rubbings. Yeah, I love genealogy. I love historical stuff. That's me. And that day, which I was young, I had walking away, snapped a picture. And in the shadows, there's two trees. And I swear, in the shadows, you can see two, like their heads out looking around. It wasn't dark, it was still daylight. And I'm thinking that was all the way back then, as part of the woods that I
Mm-hmm.
travel in. And this cemetery sets in the middle of a woods. So I found that picture the other day and I was like, I thought I lost that thing. But I was so amazed. I didn't even see it until years later. I had the picture and I scanned it into the computer and I blew it up. And that's when I actually saw what was in that picture. And I'd had it all that years.
Oh, wow.
It's just, I didn't really feel anything that day, but I was busy just, doing other stuff. I totally loved that cemetery. It was just like the old Union soldier. I have Confederate soldiers buried here. And those tombstones are just, I'm amazed with them, the dates and stuff. So,
Oh, we got a couple old cemeteries around here. Uh, and where I got my daughter buried at is up in Oliver, Pennsylvania. It's right at the edge of Westmoreland County, the southeastern edge of it. And it's up in the mountains, Chestnut Ridge, part of the Chestnut Ridge, and surrounded by woods.
that's how mine is.
Yeah. And it's peaceful in there. We got her buried on top of her great grandfather. And this before I really started researching Bigfoot and the whole 9 yards. I went up there one day to check things out up there and go sit up there with her. And there was like 7 deer come full charge coming down out of the trees. They saw me, they didn't care, they shot past me, and then they turned to the right and ran that way. And I'm like, wow, something scared them out of there. Oh, probably a coyote.
Yeah.
Not thinking it could have been something else.
Absolutely. That's
I don't know. I didn't see it. We're going. There's been sightings right up the road from there, in one guy's backyard. He came up and talked to me last year when I was at an event, and he says, "Hi, I used to live on this old back road coming out of Bolivar." He says, as you come out, you start up the hill. I went, Cemetery Hill. You went, yeah. He says, you know that area? I went, yeah. Lived over that way for quite a few years. He asked my name. I told him. He went, oh, I know. I never met you, but I know of you. I went, oh, okay. That's good. What's your name? And he told me, I went, I know of you too. You live up near Kathleen up there on the hill. He says, yeah. He says, the Bigfoot was in my backyard. I went, what?
Yeah.
So, yeah, and strange coincidence.
Now, my sister-in-law, she lives here locally, and my mother-in-law, my husband's mother, she was almost 100 when she passed away. And, of course, she'd gotten sick. She was in her 90s, and my sister-in-law moved her into an A-frame beside of her house.
Right.
And there was a big snow one, in which I just seen Kathy the other day. And because she's been sick, so I'm supposed to stop by to get the pictures. But she told me, this was years ago, she told me about it. And she's like, there was these huge footprints in the snow, walked from Mom's house past my kitchen window. And she took the pictures. She has the pictures.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, would that be one of them Bigfoot things? And I said, possibly, because Birchie, that was her name. This woman was in the woods from the time she was born, too. She picked greens. She dug roots. She did everything my dad did. And she just went out alone. And what in my belief, I think she also had one that was attached to her. And I think when they moved her from the home place to there, I think he just followed her, or she, whatever. But those footprints, she's like, those footprints are at least, they look like they're 18 inches long. So I'm going to stop by. I just talked to her a couple of days ago, and I plan on, whenever I get them, I'll share the picture with you.
Oh, please do. 18 inches.
But it's a row. It's not one footprint. It's just where it's walking.
Yeah.
The stride, she's like, honestly, the stride looks like it's 6 foot apart. The stride is so, like huge steps.
Well, 18-inch foot. That thing got to be 9-10 foot tall. So, yeah, it would have a 6 foot stride.
That's what I told her. She's like, she still lives in the same spot that she did. Of course, my mother-in-law passed away. But she's like, it's fascinating and terrifying that it would be that close to my kitchen window.
Yeah. Yes. It's probably looking for an apple pie in the window.
Well, my mother-in-law, she was this fantastic cook. Everything from scratch.
Yeah.
And berries, my Lord, this woman picked more berries and sold berries. And she was in her 90s. She'd go through a fence like a jackrabbit. I'm telling you, she outran me upside the cliff faster. And she was literally, she did that right up until at the end, she broke her hip. But honest to Lance, her dad was, I think, 102 when he passed away. And you know what he was doing the day he passed away? He was up 5 tiers in the barn hanging tier poles to hang tobacco.
Oh, wow.
He's a little bitty man. He wasn't 5 foot tall. He's a little teeny man. Oh, I loved him. He was the orneriest little fella ever was. He'd get up against you and fart or do all kind of.
Huh.
I loved him so much. And one of the grandkids, he had never had an air conditioner in his life ever. And he bought him an air conditioner and put it in the window, thinking he's been, it was hot. He laid down under and gave him pneumonia. He died from pneumonia.
Oh, wow.
But that day, hanging tear poles now, can you beat that? I was like, oh my God. His name was Henry. Like, oh my gosh. He was one of those amazing, he run his own mill, ground his own cornmeal. Amazing carpenter, cut his own, done his own everything. He was just totally amazing.
It was very old school.
Absolutely. Single trees for the horses, everything he made it by hand. Oh my gosh. He was amazing. Man.
Amazing. Amazing, Donna. But hey, it's 11 after. We're going to call it an evening here real soon.
Okay.
I want to thank you for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed it.
Definitely we'll have you back again sometime.
Whenever you want, just let me know. No problem.
Yeah, we'll do that. I'll talk to you as soon as we get off the air too.
Yeah, I want to explain the other.
Yes.
You'll find it fascinating and.
Oh yeah. Everyone, thank you for watching. Danny, I know you left. I didn't get a chance to say, I hope you feel better. You probably watched the podcast to catch the ending knowing you. We got you in our prayers. You're not feeling good. Everybody, thank you. Sparky, thank you. And I will be getting a hold of you after I talk to that lady this week. He's one of the ones that's going to go with me on that investigation. But anyhow, thank you guys all. And thank you again, Donna. I really appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you so much. I really enjoy it.
Thank you for tuning in to the Agents of the Unexplained. Please visit our website at agentsoftheunexplained.net for unique paranormal merchandise like t-shirts, books, and coffee mugs. Join our Facebook group and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more thrilling content. Until next time, keep questioning the unexplainable.